in the map pool. You know it's going to be probably the most picked map here, and not the surprise. I mean, Hunter, we always make the joke, this is everyone's favorite control map. You've scrimmed it so much. You feel very comfortable on it no matter what. And Elemental Garden, Gibby banning out the Ramatra here first. So want to get rid of a good, maybe a little bit of a good poke brawl hybrid tank coming in here. Second ban winning very quickly there for Amplify. So they knew what they wanted to do.
Yeah, they knew on the spot. They had quite a little bit of time, as you saw Elemental Garden taking their sweet time, taking that Ramatra pick. Of course, had to go either for that DPS or that support category. It could be something along the lines of a very safe pick. You think along the lines of a Kiriko, things like I think even a Lucio, which we've seen kind of banned a decent amount lately. The Emre is a really big one as of recent as well. And I guess the one thing you can know is that with Elemental Garden playing a lot more games, there's also a lot more footage on them, a lot more knowledge on them as well as to the style they like to play. So Amplify, if they're paying attention to what this team's doing, they definitely know this first ban in and out, knowing that this is the strongest way to get them started.
Yeah, and both these teams, we already saw a little bit of movement around on our side. I don't know if you're showing it on your stream, but we're always seeing a little bit more movement coming out from them. It looks like subs coming in here already for map 1 for Elemental Garden. Amplify on the other side. Didn't see anything just yet, but I mean, you look at these two rosters, all 8 spots here filled up by each team. We saw, I believe we covered Garden already once this season. And I mean, really close game that one was, if I remember correctly. We saw, I believe, 7 of the 8 players in that one. And the 8 players here for Amplify, I mean, these are really good players. Gap, J-Man, Hutch, Biz, Ewan on this as your stars. But then you have Angel Velato, Garchomp, and Arlanta as the subs here. I mean, this is a really strong team. I feel like a lot of people maybe be ranking them a little bit higher in power rankings from what I've seen if they've played a little bit more. But because they've only played the one game, they're kind of sitting around that mid-table right now, which probably is not where this team really deserves to be.
No, not quite. It really isn't, but we'll see how things going to change as the next couple of weeks realistically develop. But we know how things have developed further, as our second ban going the way of Amplify is going to be that Pharah, which, to be fair, we've seen quite a little bit of Pharah play on this map, especially you get to a map like Garden, or even, honestly, Control Center. It's gotten a little bit of play as well. It's really easy to work on a lot of those corners, especially if you're kind of hanging around that outside where you can get in and out very easily.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see Pharah somewhat become a little bit more of a meta pick here, especially on this map, or not necessarily a meta pick, but a pick that can really be able to surprise you out here. Like you said, even Control Center, maybe the worst map for Pharah, has gotten a decent amount of value from Pharah play in the past.
Your mic went out. This is a really unfortunate case scenario. Hopefully you're back. I hope you are. If not, oh, yeah, okay.
Five, four, three, two, one. Round 1. Capture the objective.
Yep, very much so. Try fixing your thing again, by the way. As we see already a little bit of pressure, Firecutter and Beyond in a rough scenario. Bubble makes plenty of space to work with right now, but both of our DPS duos kind of suffering a little bit, trying to find some level of opening. But you see the way Amplify is playing. They're putting themselves out deep into this territory, making sure it's not going to be easy to kind of take the angle, safety aggression like you would realistically hope to. Now, this being said, nobody's actually gone over towards the point yet. You eventually are going to have to send somebody with Beyond. I imagine this is going to open up that door for them to be able to push on forward into the 5v4 as Gap gets rid of 3 to get this one started away here, as that will be the cleanup session for our first fight in Dex. I could tell by the little bits of green. I believe you're back with us.
Yep, I should be. I always forget that I have to actually reconnect through video. But, I mean, right now, a good first fight there by Amplify. They really wanted to make sure they got the team fight victory before they went towards point, because both these teams running that mirror, both these teams kind of want to be death ball here. As you already see HK going after Biz right there, not going to be able to find much, but they had to try to get out, but no, it's going to be a nice play there by both Biz, J-Man, and Gap to make sure that Vendetta does not get out.
Yep, it's going to kind of cause a little bit of the snowball effect, but everyone has backed out in time, so everyone for the moment, is going to be able to hang around, stay alive, take a lot quicker of a reset. And some of these ultimates, by the way, are very neck and neck, but look how much further ahead Firecarter is in front of Ewan on that Lucio.
Yeah, you can say that, but look at the other side. J-Man already has their override protocol. Gap not that far away from a grab here, so you can look at some ultimates being online early on, but some other one's going to be ready for the other side. Is already Consumer Rush out here from 5 and by Hutch.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this isn't really going to work out. Another wave coming through. Again, you trade out Consumer Rush. It's not the worst thing at the end of the day, but I think you might have to take advantage of this early sound barrier now.
You're going to have to, really. Gap does have this grab ready to go pretty early on, or already ready here, so you could really wait for that grab to come out to use that beat right now for Elemental Garden, but you need something to follow up with it. Vin not that far away from their own grab, same thing with Beyond, not that far away from their own override, but J-Man already has that one ready to go. There's the override protocol coming out from them right now.
Yeah, you're going to be able to see everybody get out of there alive, and they're going to fully back up, not even going to chance it, as J-Man will go above once more to try to find a shot. Will hit a direct, but no deaths as a result, and now this Graviton Surge is still available for this fight. 85% on the board. It comes in, gets a couple. Firecarter takes the damage, but will stay alive long enough to hang in this one, even though around the corner from the own sound barrier. And to be fair, at this point, it might not even be necessary. The 4v4, it's going to push them back further and further. Beyond is trying to get a touch. Such will not happen, though. 100-0 to get things started for Amplify.
Biz and Gap being the only two members of Amplify that die in that first round right there. I mean, hey, that's Zarya Vendetta. You expect them to at least find one death, but they were looking so good throughout the entirety of it there, and it just really felt like throughout that entire first point there, once Elemental Garden lost that first fight, lost all that control of just the free space, they weren't able to get through it. Great plays coming out there from Gap, from Ewan, from Bish, being able to hold down that choke point there to really put Elemental Garden in spots they just did not really like there. And you look at the damage, I mean, J-Man and Gap leading the way right now. Not that big of a surprise there, as the M-Ray can just do so much damage, and Zarya as well, able to find so much early on. No swaps coming out from Element Garden here, which I almost expected them to at least make something here, considering the Zarya Vendetta comp did not really work out for them well last point.
Yeah, it didn't really, but Biz, I think, overextended just a little too much, put themselves in a really rough situation, but that boot immediately evens the playing field, and now Vend is kind of struggling to play with their life right now. You see J-Man, Ewan, Biz, everyone who is around is throwing these targets at Vend, who eventually is going to go down to themselves, and even though Gap falls, again, point going to go over to Amplify. The question is, can they regroup in time to take advantage of anything?
They're not going to be able to here. I mean, you will have Firecar back there to taxi Vin back, but same thing's going to happen with Ewan and Gap, so they're going to be getting back around the same times here, but there's really no ultimate online just yet for either team to really have something to be able to throw early on. Beyond to make the swap early on as Firecar gets taken out pretty quickly here.
Yeah, plenty of pressure coming in from Beyond and HQ, who eventually, the damage is done there, but unfortunately, I don't know if you have the members to sustain in here. You have the support coming in from 5 of Vind, cannot play indoors super easily. It's not going to be an easy fight to take, especially as Kitsune Rush is around the corner, but it's so close yet so far, Dex. So that's the way I look at it. You can put a ton of pressure on here right now, but you have to feed into Vin, feed into everybody, try to get this online in time. But you can already see the struggle of getting forced around. But that boop over on the Gap, that is a great way to put yourself into position to pull this one back around, and given the numbers starting to dwindle away. You see Elemental Garden try to hang around. Biz may get one, but realistically, it shouldn't be enough here, as you would eventually forced off. Little bit of stall coming in from Hutch, but it looks like it's going to end here at 61%.
And this is what Elemental Garden really needed here. They need to get control of the point, because I want to see how they play defensively. You have ultimates coming up on the other side, but guess what? You have your own grab, Kitsune feet, all about to be online here, as already to grab out early from Vin.
That big one there for Beyond to get that initial kill over onto Ewan, as they will subsequently clean everything up. So back-to-back fight wins over here. They do invest 2 ults as opposed to just the Kitsune Rush, but at the end of the day, they need a little bit of that momentum.
Yeah, I mean, you basically trade out a rush for a rush, which you'll be perfectly fine with, and the grab did what you needed to do right there. If you're Garden, you got the team fight victory, which is what you were looking for right there. Again, you're just trying to build some momentum after basically being stomped last point.
Yeah, and that's so much being thrown in. Ewan goes down. This is literally throwing in everything, and again, they're gonna win this fight and get the full wipe in the process, but now they're just going to have the overclock, and actually Gap does use, I don't know, this does make things a little more difficult.
Yeah, Gap did use grab in that fight there, and it was a great beat there by Firecard, making sure that everyone was able to stay alive through it. The Sundering Blade from HK, finding the one pick there onto you and did so much, but Override out here from J-Man early on as they're trying to find something now because Element Garden now in control.
Yeah, Beyond is eventually going to get forced back right here. I don't know how you realistically touch this. I think you need to find a soft little regroup, but Beyond is going to let it loose, is able to find one. Biz, though, is going to solo them, and honestly, that's the perfect call right there. It's going to cause a bit of separation. Ewan, Sound Barrier in time is going to keep it going in the 44 and Firecarter. Unfortunately, nowhere close to getting this online, so everyone going down as quickly as they can, but they will be able to get one more fight in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was actually almost a really good fight there for Element Garden, but same thing for Amplify. You got control of the point, you got rid of the overclock from the other side. Ewan did have to invest beat, so now Vin, if they're able to build to a grab, will basically have it for free. Same thing for Firecar. They should be able to build to a beat here really soon, but someone needs to get a touch here, as you're already starting to see a lot of players for Amplify position themselves in spots so they can easily be able to just boot people away. HK, though, falls. They do get a touch from Vin!
Yeah, and Vin just can't make it. No one else is going to retouch. It's a good fight back. Unfortunately, using all those ults earlier, it does kind of come back to bite them in the end. But they make it interesting. They make it entertaining. We'll see what they can do further on. But for Amplify, it is pure discipline, pure mechanics, doing what they do best.
Yeah, again, this is only the second game of the season. That's going to be one thing we're going to talk about a lot throughout the night here, but they are looking like one of the best teams, as really they should be looking like that here. And again, I'm looking at the stats right now. J-Man Biz combined for 35 elims there. That map, I mean, I'm looking at the top 3 kill contributors for the side of Element Garden, and they combined got 36 elims right there. So whenever you see that kind of performance coming out there, doing a really good job. Gap, though, I felt like was the main kind of focus point for this Amplify team, and we always talk about a lot, especially when it comes to tanks and Overwatch right now, where there's only the one. You need to have that solid rock right there, and Gap was exactly that for Amplify.
Was exactly that. A phenomenal job overall. I'll take a quick little look at how things went over on our scoreboards, and J-Man did get the most elims, actually 20, only going down 3 times, over 9,000 damage as well. It's a really good performance from someone who I think, especially in the spotlight, has thrived in a lot of ways. Was a part of that original Shikigami team, who rose their way back up from the ashes back in, I believe it was season 5, made it to the playoffs after being it was some crazy thing like 3-6 at one point, and they made their way in. But again, it is a big team effort. It is a big situation for them to be able to get a second win here, keep momentum going. But we're focused on our next map, Runasampi, as well as the first ban being thrown out here by Elemental Garden, Brigitte.
Yeah, Brig being banned out here, not necessarily the biggest surprise to see Brig be played a lot here on a map like Runasampi. However, it's going to be really interesting to see, do we just see the Kiri Lucio come back out? I mean, that's what we saw both teams really play last map. It really seemed to benefit a lot for Amplify, but at the same time, Element Garden was getting a lot of value with it as well. And you immediately see no Ramatra again this map, as well as Amplify doesn't want to see the Omnic leader come out here. So you're already seeing it. Wow, I can't speak right now, but Hunter, me and you've been seeing this a lot here as of late, where teams are double banning one tank after another. It feels like it's always the tank. I feel like the last week it was Zarya, D.Va. Now we have Ramatra coming back into the fold here a little bit, but I really just think it's trying to just open up that play for the Zarya here, as both these teams really seem like they want to play the Zarya last map. It would not be surprised if the Zarya come back out here again.
Would not be in the absolute slightest. Again, the Vendetta and the Emre still fully open. If you are going to hard dedicate to an Emre instead of a Vendetta, this is where you potentially see something like the D.Va come out instead, which I think honestly is a possibility. But I think realistically, with how Amplify played that previous map, I think there's no reason to realistically get off of it. And for the time being, that is what we're going to see from both sides. Beyond likely to stay over on that Sojourn, but Biz, we'll see this Reaper sticks or not. Very unlikely, but honestly, you never know.
You never know, and this has been one map that we actually started to see Reaper pop back up a little bit on as well. And I mean, you can even look at OWCS. We've seen Reaper pop up there with some teams and actually find a decent amount of value just across multiple maps here. Ewan teases with the cat there for a brief moment, but no, Biz going to be going right back over to this Vendetta, and this is what you should really expect with these competitions for both sides. Beyond, they looked better on that Soj last map when they made that swap. Didn't have a lot of time to really stick to it, but did get one pick with their overclock before they eventually got taken out by a Sundering Blade from the other side there for Biz. But right now, you're going to be watching the fight here for this first point.
Yep, already big pressure coming through right here. Doesn't get anybody off of it. Vin is actually suffering big time right now. Is sitting at 1 health. Has to go all the way inside, but with the HK down, you lose a lot of that big damage. Unfortunately, you got to try to get some bodies out of here alive. Lots of people low, but they will be able to regroup quickly as a result. But Gap is not afraid to push up here and find some bodies, but they do have the damage to keep them back.
Again, this is Gap having a lot of faith and trust in their support line right here, being able to push up that far and knowing that the support line is going to be able to save them right there. And I mean, with how long Gap has, I believe, been playing with both Ewan and at least Ewan, it seems like they're always a pair for the most part. They know exactly when to back out, when to aggress here. Gap, they're the only one pushing the cart right now. As you see, everyone else for Amphi looks like they're trying to take an off angle.
Yeah, and I like it. It's going to split focus away eventually, but Biz gets cut down like crazy, and Gap is hard separated from the group, is getting those bubbles burnt away, but the rest of the team is there for backup. HK, though, trying their darndest, has gotten rid of 2, will help get rid of a 3rd, but Vind is sitting alone with very little healing, as they're going to have to try to get this last second touch in a 2v2 that I don't think they can realistically win, but they can force them back.
I mean, I think they can actually realistically win this. You have still Vind alive with you, and you have Firecarter against a Kiri and a Vendetta. I think that's a very favorable spot right there for him. It's at least doing enough to force back Amphi here for a little bit. Both teams will be able to regroup. But look at J-Man. Override protocol already online. Expected to be coming out here very early on.
Yeah, and pulled down is big. It comes through, unfortunately. HK stopped just before the mark. J-Man snipes 5 right there as well, and Vind has to use every bubble to hang alive. J-Man finishes off with 3, and it's going to force everybody back, and realistically should secure the forward spawns as well.
Oh, it really should, for the most part. There's maybe a one last-second touch that could come out, but it would almost be suicidal and putting themselves in such a bad spot after right there. But look at Hutch, already having this Consumer Rush online. 5 has it online as well, but Amphi, get the forward spawns off it right now. But if you're Elemental Garden, what's the play here? Do you just Kitsu in, hope that Hutch responds with their own Kitsu? That's what we've been seeing a lot here already this series, but you're looking for that first pick, and honestly, yeah, you found Biz once before. I think you want to be able to find someone else, but that's not going to be this fight.
Nah, it will not. That's a really rough way. They take advantage. They catch out the one person who was kind of caught out there, and unfortunately, you're not even going to find somebody on the way out either. The full web coming through. This lead is going to get to 100 meters, and they still have the Graviton Surge with that Sundering Blade.
And a beat not that far away as well. Beat, though, Sundering Blade and Grab, as well as the override or overclock about to be online here for Elemental Garden. So you do have the ultimates right here for Garden to be able to come in and play very, very aggressively and find a team fight victory. That's exactly what they need here. One team fight victory, not even halfway through the map, but you already lose one of those ultimates already here as Beyond falls.
Yeah, and Firecarter is going to get forced back. Graviton Surge is going to come out over onto 1. Everyone forced back, and you take an awkward trade, I think. But again, your Vendetta is going to get back so unbelievably quicker if you are HK compared to Biz. But still, you haven't won the fight quite yet. You still have so much pressure coming up to the point where Firecarter is getting forced away so far near the spawn room, but eventually pick over onto Gap. Should be able to secure their future in this map, but it's still going to be a long way to go.
Oh, a long way to go. You already see that deficit right now, about 124.5 meters. 6 minutes still on that time bank. So you have a lot of time, more than half the time left to go. But that fight right there, that costs you 3 ultimates to have it go your way. You're only going to have the beat online. You look over back at the other side. J-Man, second override protocol online and already on the playing field.
Yep. Your Graviton Surge be used as a result of that right there. Gap has gone, so put yourself in a really good territory. But still, this thing isn't over quite yet as Firecarter is in there super deep. Isn't going to get finished off. As a matter of fact, they'll be able to regroup. But I love this. Immediately recognizing that fight is done, dusted. They take the cart back momentarily. And while this isn't going to result in anything, it is going to take progress away from Elemental Garden.
It's going to take progress away, but look, it's only Biz getting the far spawns here. This could be a really quick re-engage now from Amplify just to make sure they don't really give Elemental Garden that much of like hope to get back into this map right now. You still have Grab, you still have Beat online. There's really nothing online for the other side, so this could be an ultimate that gets used pretty early on here for a quick team fight victory.
Yeah, and the sound barrier is just going to bring them in. They want to try to just use the sound barrier, and hey, guess what? They're going to get away with it with Finn down that early. This fight becomes nigh unwinnable, as all you can do is kind of force yourselves in, die over on this point, as Beyond will at least take one on the way out, but Bot going to start heading back the other way. Forward spawns will be regained.
And officially halfway through this map here, Gap still holding on to this grab. Hutch about to have a Kitsune Rush online, but 5 already has that one ready to go here. I imagine at this point right now, Hunter, when that Kitsune Rush comes out from 5, you're going to see that the grab come out here from Gap. It seems like a really good trade right now. Still nothing online for Elemental Guard to really throw at it. There's the Kitsune Rush. Gap, though, just going to fall back.
Yeah, and everyone else should be able to get out alive. Almost gets the headshot over on the Hutch, just barely missed. But you see Gap is pretty separated, will be taken out, and now big cleanup going to come through here momentarily. Again, you got to worry about getting that cart forward, though, while getting these last couple finished off. You're inside a room with a Vendetta. This is not the ideal place to be. I'll tell you that much, as Biz will end up finding one on the way out. Make it 2 on the way out, as J-Man is going to get the Mega Health Pack. This one is not done quite yet. Firecutter has to go in, bring all that aggression, but somehow, some way, they pull this one back a little bit, and unfortunately, this damage has been done.
Yeah, those 3 picks by Biz at the end of this fight were huge, because if Biz falls right there without any of those 3 picks happening, you're probably seeing Elemental Garden start to push this barrier up a little bit more. And now, because of those picks, there you see Amplify back in control of the bot. And look, the ultimates coming online for them. You have Grab, you have Sundering Blade, another Override Protocol online for J-Man. Hutch has their Kitsune Rush. I mean, right now, Hunter, this is 50-50 Overwatch for Amplify. They don't need to be pushing this barrier up anymore. They could just play out the time.
Yeah, that they can right now. You see the separation immediately as Graviton Surge is ready, looking for something, but you see how separate everybody is. Gap doesn't really get a free use here, especially as Firecutter is right around the corner from having this Graviton Surge. And to be fair, if it's online or not, that's the make or break of this fight. If this doesn't get online in time, it's cooked. But right now, it's Beyond and Hutch, the ones that are cooked, as Graviton Surge going to come through. Gap eliminated right here, as while we're still trading out, Bot being taken away as J-Man once again, like those, just Firecutter lets this one go, and he's going to force Biz back. Biz is going to fall as a result. But again, point stolen away momentarily, but eventually will go away. But even with the sound barrier, this fight isn't quite over yet.
No, Elemental Garden has been able to clean it up. I mean, you're going to see 2-3 members of Amplify be able to escape with their lives here and come back in very quickly. Now that the beat's gone, Gap has a free grab here, essentially ready for them. 5, though, will have this Kitsune Rush online pretty early on, but you're looking at HK now to be really the savior of this fight.
Oh, and HG gets 2 with it. They're just hard separated right here. Now you're going to move in, try to find some bodies. But even with that big hero play, this one isn't quite over yet. Gap being kept alive for a little while longer. Eventually trying to cut through. Finn helps out, finish out some more bodies. And this is so clutch, because this will get them the forward spawns. And now, Dex, they got a chance.
They got a chance. That lead almost been cut in half here, but it's taken them 4 minutes. 2 minutes left on the time bank, and you just used 2 big ultimates right there. Or at least 2 ultimates came out there from the sides there. Grab out from Gap. J-Man, though, going to be able to find HK, who was a huge contributor in that last fight.
Yeah, unfortunately, just a slight bit of overengagement right there. And speaking of it, Finn is close to going down, is going to be kept up long enough to be able to maintain all that delicious charge and try to build up that Graviton Surge a little bit faster.
Right now, though, minute 30 on the clock. Element Garden still has these forward spawns. They're going to be reset right now, but look over at the other side. Beat and Kitsune online here for Amplify. They're going to come to a spot here as the Kitsune's out from both sides.
Yep, Sound Barrier used as well to double down in this fight. Honestly, I think it's realistically worthwhile. You force everybody back, you secure yourself a fight, you continue playing the 50-50 Overwatch game. And from here on out, it's going to have to be near perfection here for the Elemental squad, as with a minute left on the clock, no forward spawns, it's going to be a big uphill battle.
Huge uphill battle. No forward spawns. You're really only going to have a grab and potentially a beat in the following fight after that. The other side, though, J-Man, I think, about to come up to their 4th or 5th Override Protocol right now. It's been absolutely insane how fast they've been able to build that up, but that's kind of the player we know J-Man to be, someone who can excel no matter what hero they're playing, and they have it online and ready to go. I mean, you see where the barrier is. They're back to it now. 1 team fight victory is all Amplify needs to complete the map.
Yep, and Grab goes out, and it gets a whopping nothing burger. That is so unfortunate. Now J-Man's hoping to clean some up. Biz is doing the exact same. You're still taking trades, so nothing over quite yet, but Finn is so far separated from the rest of their team right here. Cap needs to go down as a result. Eventually will be able to. The damage is going to be done from beyond. A couple of clutch picks to end this fight away right here. Finn, though, still needs to hang around, stay alive. They need to wait for the health to come back, but eventually they can get this bot moving once more. But now it has to be perfection.
Yeah, exactly. You need to double what you have right now if you're Elemental Garden, which is going to be a very, very hard thing to do. But you have 2 ultimates online ready to go for you. Overclock already online from Beyond, trying to find something early on, but instead it's going to be Biz finding them.
Yeah, no, HK is going to have that clutch vector ready to go, but immediately has to kind of run away. Is hanging out by a threat, and unfortunately is going to fall over, and Five God isn't going to get anything online either. This one is done and dusted. Full wipe coming through. A little Kitsune rush to end the fight as it's match point coming online for Amplify, who just, again, we see these teams take massive leads, and while there's maybe some chipping away at it, they never fully give it up, not even close.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the massive lead we talked about there for a little bit, 50-50 Overwatch, and that's exactly what Amplify was doing there for a little bit. Giving a fight, winning a fight, taking a fight, losing a fight. It was exactly what you're looking for there. Elemental Garden, though, they were able to chip away at it. And that's what we saw them do it last map on Lijiang. They weren't able to complete that one. We saw it here again on Runasapi. They weren't able to fully come back and complete it here. But you're seeing that Elemental Garden has this opportunity to really be able to, if they can string together 2-3 fight wins in a row, to really start to build that confidence and really take it to Amplify. We've seen Amplify really be caught off guard by some of the plays we've seen from Elemental Garden. However, a lot of them have been because you're seeing this Garden team invest ultimates into these fights that Amplify just doesn't have one to really respond with. And if they do, Garden's just been able to throw out the better ultimate to make sure they end up coming out on top.
Yeah, they have. For Elemental Guard, I feel like it's been some fights that are a bit of desperation. And to be fair, the fights go in their favor more often than not when they have that sense of desperation. But with desperation, Dex, comes the uses of ultimates to turn a fight. Sometimes you have to make that judgment call. And in the time, it works out. But eventually, the ult economy will not be in your favor in some of those important fights. But we'll see what they'll be able to correct as we have our 3rd map and potential final map of the series settled away, heading to Havana, which Havana plays almost like no other map. Such incredibly long sidelines, and yet you go to a second point and the game just completely changes.
Yeah, this is a map where you could see 3 different compositions for every point. Long sidelines really does lead to poke, maybe a little bit of brawl coming out on that first point. Second point, dive, poke, does definitely find some value, but you still see a lot of teams kind of gravitate back towards the brawl. Third point, again, long sidelines open right back up. But this is really a map where it's a lot like Circuit Royale in a way. Sigma is being looked at as very strong on this map. Domina, again, another very strong tank. Winston does get some play here as well, but you're looking at these DPS lines here to be able to provide something early on. Elemental Garden, though, they do have first ban, so it's going to be really interesting to see what they get rid of here. Do you get rid of the Emre? Do you get rid of the Sojourn? Do you get rid of the Widowmaker? Because you don't want to have that potential right there, especially for someone like J-Man, who had 35 elims and over 13,000 damage last map. They could really light the world afire if they have a strong sniper going into this one.
Yeah, but it's going to be a strange one. The Domina is going to get banned out here instead. This just seems like relatively a tank protect. I think they want to continue playing, or at least start playing a different way, and they want to make sure that, hey, it can't be prevented. It seems that simple at the end of the day. It means they're still going to have to deal with the M-Ray, but to be fair, even if you ban it here, you have to deal with the other 2 maps. You need to learn how to deal with it right here and now. And I respect going for this pick and kind of just going about it their own way.
The Genji, though, going to be coming out here for Amplify, so they do not want to see the Cyborg Ninja in this map. So, again, I think that's it's not necessarily a protect ban. That's the second ban, but it's definitely one where they're trying to make sure there's not going to be any little deflect headshots coming back out, and especially if someone like J-Man wants to play a Widow, a Hanzo, and Ashe, those heroes that can really, really do a lot of damage with just one shot here. But outside that, Elemental Garden, like I said, they've shown us they have the capability to amplify in a couple fights. They need to be able to string a couple in a row and have a couple of those fights actually end up being just dry fights. No ultimates, one ultimate used, because a lot of the fights they have won throughout the series so far have been because of ultimates only being used by them, or them using one more ultimate than Amplify. You need to have a couple dry fights wins here for Elemental Garden if you want to be able to come out on top of this map and extend the series.
100%. See what they'll be able to do to get this one started away. It is the defense getting started here for Amplify, and there is quite a bit of swaps as we're seeing from the opening get-go. You see both the Wuyong and the what is going on over there. What's kind of powwow is going on over here. But like I said, you see the Honor, the Wuyong, and the Sigma making their debuts in the series.
I mean, again, the Domino being banned out here, I thought we would just see a lot of Sigma we played on this map anyway. The Domino is just there to make sure we will only be seeing the Sigma we played here. Vin, though, sticking with this Zarya, and this is one thing I would really like to see from Elemental Garden, a swap off this Zarya. I think Gap has been able to basically diff them so far in the first 2 maps, but they're going to stick with it here, and it's not just a poke out of the spawn. They're going to be sticking with it throughout the entirety of it. But still, you look at that support line that you already kind of mentioned here for Amplify, that Ewan and Hutch on the Wu Yang and the Ana. This is a very vulnerable support line, honestly. It would not surprise me if we see some big swap come out here from Elemental Garden just to try to make that support line for Amplify's life a living nightmare for a little bit.
Yeah, it's Gap that kind of has to avoid having a living nightmare, quite honestly. You can get burnt away by so many of these heroes. You have to really maintain your cooldowns and your space very accordingly. But hey, a great way to give yourself some space, getting rid of Beyond, taking away a little bit of that long-range power, as they're already going to back out of here, as Vind a little separated. Should be quite fun.
Yeah, the bubbles will be able to keep them up, and you're not really going to see much pressure come out from Amplify because, I mean, still that Zarya highly charged, not necessarily the smartest thing to be going into them, going against them in a very small room. H-Ski, though, very low, going to be able to barely get out with their lives here, but you're looking for something now if you're Elemental Garden, as Vind, maybe overextended all by themselves here a little bit too much.
Yeah, overextension is definitely the word I would use. Gets taken care of rather quickly here, as Biz is going to back up a little bit, kind of maintain the space. You don't want to be too risky, because even if you take a trade out, remember how much those spawns are closer for Elemental Garden compared to Amplify.
And I think this is exactly what Elemental Garden's looking for here. Just find one pick early on, hope that you're not going to fall or lose someone right after it. But even if you do, you have the closer spawns. Beyond, though, find J-Man. So a trade for a trade right there, but you're still just seeing Elemental Garden play slowly here. They want to have all 5 ready to go, but that's not going to be a benefit for them right now. 5 and Hutch already have ultimates online. Gap, though, also has that Flux online ready to go as well. So this first engagement is going to probably be a pretty heavy ult fight.
Yep, it will be. You see the investment right there. Biz was given that nano, and now you're seeing everything thrown in. Sound Barrier has to be used to kind of stay alive. They'll put themselves in a good position. Gap, though, unfortunately going to be separate away, as again, Beyond going to get rid of 2 is so far separated that eventually just the splash from J-Man's pistol is going to stop them right there, and Gap is going to come back on the ball to cause some stall.
Yeah, I mean, I like this swap here from Gap. Just cause stall. If you win one team fight, you can quickly go back to the point and or spawn and quit and swap if you want, but you really only have to worry about this overclock on the other side right now.
Yeah, they are going to get forced back, though. You're going to have Tidal Blast as well, potentially going to throw it over on Biz, maybe on Gap as well, as you see the separation over on the side from 5, who's desperately trying to escape, won't be able to, and that's your wipe. That's going to start coming through here. Just a couple more as Firecutter booped in the air, taken care of, as Vin is in such a rough area right now and is eventually going to get taken out. Now, will Gap go and make the swap? The answer right now seems to be no.
You know what? As we see it more, I don't necessarily hate it. I don't hate it. It was definitely just for a stall, but I mean, you've already built up halfway to a minefield. But now look at the ultimates. You only have Sundering Blade here online for Amplify. The other side, they're going to have a grab. They're going to have this overclock, not that far away from their own Sundering Blade. So we're talking about this where Elemental Garden. Ooh!
A decision of all time, quite honestly, and somehow it's still working. Gap gets rid of 2. There's separation. Hutch like jumped in like they were a Vendetta and not an Ana.
Well, they did pay for it eventually, but I mean, still though, if you're Elemental Garden, you're in Final Fight territory right now. You have 3 ultimates about to be online. You're only gonna have to deal with 2 for the other side. So this has normally been where you've been winning a lot of your fights throughout this series. Having that extra ultimate, you're gonna have to use all of them here. Do not be taken out early.
Yep, and you gotta use these ults like you said right there. Graviton Surge is available. Beyond, though, finds a very vital first pick, I should say, but you see Beyond get rid of a second one. Gap is now hanging in there as you might potentially use a single Graviton Surge just to stop the ball from having value, but it's just Gap, the only one remaining. Shields available momentarily, but eventually will get wiped away. Team Wipe coming through as they will be able to finish the first point. It does take overtime, but now they've unlocked themselves an extra 2.5 minutes.
You give yourself a win condition right there, and that's all that you were looking for if you're Elemental Garden. Now, though, you have 4 ultimates online here. This could be a very quick push through this one spot right here. This is a very hard second point push to go through. Most second point pushes are hard to go through, but you have the ultimate advantage early on. One play is all you need, but the mines coming out from Gap pretty early on.
Yep, big Graviton Surge as well, pulls in a couple. Gap just gets blown away with Biz, more than happy to keep the wheels turning. Keep this fight in their favor. Remember, Gap can get back really quickly. Beyond is the exact same case, and Gap finally going to give up on the ball. Go over to the Zarya now instead that we've seen have so much success thus far.
I mean, they use mines, HK to fall early on. Firecar now running for their own life, so to be able to get out there pretty safely. And now this is going to be an awkward spot here for Elemental Garden as they're going to have to quickly fall back, regroup. But you still have those 3 ultimates online. Vin did use that grab already, but now almost 3 ultimates about to be online here for Amplify as well. So Amplify has been able to now stabilize here with almost a minute and a half left to go on this time bank. Elemental Garden needs to get a quick fight win here, and that's a great way to start it off.
Yep, and now you're looking at maybe nanoing J-Man here in a second, and yeah, there you go. You're throwing it in. You're causing separation. You need to find at least one body here really badly. Vind is getting hard pressured out, but somehow these shots aren't quite going through. Eventually going to get rid of one, but Beyond right now has been popping off, gets rid of 2, and now poor J-Man just got to run in there, take the death, move on, and now the question is, will there be a recontestation in time? And the answer is, I don't know.
Ewan is still around here, so they could definitely be there for a touch, but I like what we're seeing here for Elemental Garden. 3 members on cart, Biz is back as well, and Gap as here. Everyone is here now for Amplify.
Yep, and you're seeing a big force back over on the Firecarter, who still, remember, has this beat ready to go to kind of stay alive in this fight. Honestly, I think it's super vital right now. Is in a super dangerous spot. Is able to stay alive long enough. Biz, J-Man, both being taken care of. It's just the supports that hang around, try to find some kind of difference to make, but eventually, everyone going to be forced out. Ewan, last one to go down as the Team Like once again comes through when it's needed the most. 1:45 left on the clock. It cost them everything, but they needed that desperately.
They need it desperately, but you'll take it. Especially, like I said, second point is a very hard point to put through. We've seen so many teams get stalled out there. Some really good teams get stalled out there, and Empire so far throughout the night has shown us that they are a really good team. Elemental Garden, though, they're finding ways to win, and that's exactly what you need in a situation where you're already down 2-0 in this series. Biz, though, going in, 1 bubble invested on them already, but they're still going to be hanging around there for a little bit. If they could find this pick early on for Elemental Garden, that would be huge, but Biz going to be able to fall back to the safety of their team. No ultimates, though, online just yet, but the grabs for each side, not that far away.
Yeah, Vin has to be really careful, by the way. Is able to be burnt really quickly, and you saw it right there. The thing is, you don't have to play as Biz. Wow, nice shot there. You don't have to play up super aggressively in that current situation right there, as they're still finding picks away. You do have to kind of play your coverage and play behind that cart very frequently until you get to that final corner.
And now we're back to the same kind of spot where we were seeing on Night Market of Li Zhang, where you're just seeing Amplify take all that space, force a fight at the choke, and the choke, unfortunately, is just the spawn doors for Elemental Garden.
Yeah, 100% so, and here you go, 30 seconds left on the clock here as Big Grab puts in 3, and that's going to be able to finish off 3 right there. Beyond is still hanging around, eventually taken care of, and Firecarter will get back into the spawn, but now they're going to have 3 ultimates ready to go for this fight, but Biz, you know how strong that Stuttering Blade can be.
And honestly, right now, you could be looking at something for Amplify where they're just going to try to hold them at the doors. There's no grab to do that, but that Sundering Blade would be a big one. Grab, though, out early from Bin, but someone needs to get a touch.
Yeah, and you're going to see lots being thrown in right now, but it's just the wipe coming through. They're going to be taken care of. They're going to get this thing to 44 meters total, but not an inch further right here, as they will be finished off in time. And unfortunately, they die with both support ultimates in their hands.
Yeah, Firecar got taken out right before they got that one online from Business Sundering Blade. 5 again got taken out right before they were able to get theirs online as well. So really good plays from Amplify. Everyone there making sure they found very high value targets early on in that fight. But like I said, it was exactly what like we saw on Lijiang Tower on Night Market. Amplify just played at a choke, and Elemental Garden just kind of struggled to get through it. Granted, it was only 2 fights, and that both of them were in that spot where you would say, yeah, it's a little bit of desperation that has to come out there from Elemental Garden. And we saw them be able to find ways to get that first point, find ways to get that second point. Weren't able to find the ways to get that third point there, but still getting through second point, I think is a really big thing for them now. And they're going to be sticking with the Zarya. Vin still had a great night on the Zarya. I would just like to see something a little bit different from them, but on the defense side, I don't blame them for sticking with it. Really, this has been the exact same comp we've been seeing from Elemental Garden this entire night here, and if they feel like it's going to be the thing that's going to work out for them, it could definitely be that. Beyond, I think, has been the standout so far for Elemental Garden. They've looked very, very good, had a lot of huge fights, huge plays last round. I mean, 19 elims, most in the lobby right now, most on their team by 9. Next closest is 8. Next closest is Vin with 11. Beyond's been doing a lot for Elemental Garden here, but now over to the other side. Yeah, straight up just the same comps we've been seeing all series long. Hutch sticking with his Ana, and I like what Elemental Garden's doing here. Just going to play forward, but you already lose Beyond.
Yeah, and you already basically lose out on that right there. You can have HK hang around, but the problem is you can't really decommit from this. You can try, but you're in such deep water really quick where you kind of just have to commit here and take these deaths, because now they're going to snowball out without stalling the card at all. That's the whole point of it, is that you do just die on the point and stall it for as long as you can as J-Man clears house.
Yeah, and I mean, one person on card, but instead of nope, there they go. They're falling back now. I was going to say, this would actually be, I think, a smart play from Amplify to maybe just keep pushing up. You've seen it already a lot throughout the night where it definitely seems like Elemental Garden struggles with playing fights at these choke points. It would have been really interesting to see how aggressive Amplify would have got there. But right now, Cart making its way through, already rounded 1 curve, about to be to the second curve. But now it's going to be up to Elemental Garden here to find some sort of response. Losing Beyond early on last fight was not the way to go, but losing Firecar might be an even worse way to go.
It might just be right now you have some level of sustainability still, but the problem is, while J-Man is kind of suffering, it doesn't matter a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. Someone has to go and force their way out and touch his point. And unfortunately for Vend, is a decent chance it's going to have to be them helping things out. Bubble to be able to go in, another bubble going to be used over on Vend, and they're going to throw everything into Vend to force the back. HK gets the pick, but unfortunately, it's not going to matter. That is going to be a quick take coming through here, and it does not bode well for the Elemental Garden squad, who, unfortunately, are finding picks.
They're finding picks, but it's not unfortunate. I mean, everyone's falling back here from Amplify. That's going to allow Vin, Beyond, Firecar, 5 to be able to get out and be able to get set back up in a spot where if you lost Vin there, you'd be giving up so much space for free. You can now come right back in, play very aggressively, because you have a large time bank you have to deal with here, as now you also have to deal with an override.
Yep, big pull down as well, but HK is just in way too deep. J-Man does eventually go down for the transgressions, but at the end of the day, you take a trade, and you're going to get back J-Man about as quickly. HK, maybe a little bit slower, as a matter of fact.
But still, right now, you got the trade. You got an even ult fight out there as well. Cap finding Beyond out again. I've talked about how much of a big contributor they've been. Losing Beyond early on is not what you wanted to see.
Nah, it's a really bad scenario. Again, you take a trade here, though. HK gets rid of another. It would have been a good scenario, but Sound Barrier going to be used here to force them back. And now, again, Gap is going to get a free Graviton Surge here. Is going to pull in 2, and with that, I think they realistically are going to kill 2 as well, as HK the only one to go down so far. Firecutter has to kind of just thrust their way into the point, as Beyond has to be a savior for their team here, as there's a quick regroup.
But look at this. Amplify backing off here for a brief moment, not even pushing card. They're just trying to get that control, that high ground, as you already see Vin, HK, Gap, and Biz already up there.
Yeah, and you're going to see everyone just be cleared away, but the bright side is everyone is either dying quickly or dying over on the point. This is going to give them enough time to hit the quick regroup and get potentially one more touch.
And Hunter, at this point right now, you're going to have to be very, very smart with this kind of re-engage here. You're going to have an opportunity for one more touch, but that golden box of victory is not that far away after you get through this door here. Beyond going to be able to find J-Man. I think that gives you the opportunity here to really try to make sure you find that touch here. You have the fight advantage.
Yeah, Beyond, though, again, you talk about how much of a standout they are. They're looking great here. Get rid of 3 in this fight. Biz eventually going to force them back right here, but the damage has already been done. Biz is still hanging around, though. Firecarter is in a little too far for their own good here. He's going to get taken down, and this reopens the door.
Yeah, a little bit of a misplay there by Firecarter. They did not need to go that far up. Now you're going to see Amplify come back in very, very quickly. No ultimates online for them just yet, so that is one thing Garden could say here. They could use one of these ultimates, even both, really,
wow,
to this fight going their way, but you lose Vind early.
Yeah, now unfortunately, as much as you've been clutch factor this entire time, it's H-Key that now has to kind of be the clutch. No sound barrier available. You have a little bit of heals remaining, but J-Man is doing a great job finishing bodies off, and that's going to be enough. Just a little too much overextension, and that is going to let that fight slip away.
Just having that Lucio in that fight for a little bit longer than what they were would have been a big difference maker there for Elemental Garden. But alas, not the case. 3.5 minutes now, Hunter, and I mean, you can already see that golden box of victory on some of these players for Amplify. It's going to be very, very difficult right now for Garden to get anything going, as J-Man already wants to maybe end this map before this fight even starts.
Yeah, 100%, and oh my goodness, he just got blitzed down. That's so unfortunate, and with that, there's just nothing left to do. Beyond in 5, trying to keep Vint going as long as possible, but it's a little bit of help from Ewan on the Lifeweaver to clean things up. 5 last one to go down, and it will be the Amplify show, taking it in 3-0 fashion. Elemental Garden, they put up their fights, they do their darndest, but Amplify lock in and take care of business.
I will give H-Key some credit. Excellent idea. Great idea. Just barely missed the edge there. Beyond though getting play of the game, like I said, this was a standout for this Elemental Garden team. I think throughout the majority of this series here, won them a lot of fights this last map, led them in elims and damage as well in our last map of the night. But Amplify, this is all about them here again tonight, getting off to that strong start. Again, only their second game of the season. And you want to be able to have performances like this, ones that give you that confidence or build up that confidence so that when you go up against a team that's towards that the higher up parts of the standings right now, that you're going to be able to face them and feel like you're going to come out on top no matter what. And especially with how we saw this team play here tonight, this looks like one of those teams that can take it against anybody. Gap looked incredible. That support line, Hutch and Ewan, didn't talk about them a lot, but Hunter, me, you say it all the time. If we're not talking about the support line, it means they are doing their job, and damn, did they do a good job here throughout the entirety of the night. And that support, or that DPS line as well, Biz and J-Man, very, very scary. Maybe one of the scariest DPS lines here in the NA Masters tier, and probably one of the most slept on ones as well.
Yeah, I don't think that's an exaggeration whatsoever. I think we saw the product of that here today very, very vividly. So we'll see how it's going to stack up as they go against more of these teams. Again, remember, only 2 games down, 13 more to go with the rest of the season remaining. But they have the chance to get themselves a little further. They have an interesting pivot as their next game coming up this Friday. Interesting pivot, unfortunately, faring about as well as Elemental Garden is right now. So Amplified is hoping to kind of keep the momentum going off of that. Meanwhile, things not going to get any easier for Elemental Garden themselves. They're taking on Meow Academy this coming Friday as well. A Meow Academy team, which we've only seen them in a couple of games so far, but we know these players. We know how good they look. It's going to be an uphill climb once more.
Yeah, again, though, we saw it tonight. Elemental Garden does have that opportunity, or does have that spark that they're able to show in a couple fights that really makes you start to believe. I mean, this was a good map for them. Havana was a good map. They were able to win fights in desperate times. They just weren't able to win them when they weren't necessarily desperate. That's one big thing. You're getting great performances, like I said, from Beyond. Like we both said, Beyond was definitely the standout there for Elemental Garden, especially in that last time, I think throughout the entirety of the series. But you need a little bit more. H-Key, they looked good at times. Vin, they looked good at times. 5 and Firecarter. I mean, everyone on this Elemental Garden team looked good at times, but that's just it. It's at times. Amplify was very much easily able to come back in almost any fight after they lost and really just shut down Garden time after time again here. But still, tough schedule ahead here for Elemental Garden. They're going to find their first win here eventually. I do believe that this team should at least find, I believe, 2 or 3 wins this season. Amplify, though, well, they're already at 2 wins. I think they're going to be able to find a 3rd on Friday, and they're going to probably be able to find a lot more after that.
Yeah, I think they could be setting up in pretty good territory. I can't wait for them to have one of their big tests, which they have next week, by the way. Next Wednesday, they have that Kintsugi team that is reformed and look better than ever. So that will be interesting, and maybe that'll be on our radar. But for tonight, that will be it, but there's a little bit more going on later this week. We have a game tomorrow with Kintsugi and Fallen Destiny, which should be very entertaining for more than one reason, as you'll find out soon. But we have a little bit of a double feature action on Friday, where I can confirm Hive Mind Ex Oblivione is going to happen. And unfortunately, I hate to tell you live on the air decks, but the Battle of Cutlery indeed has been moved. We don't know when to yet, but it indeed has been moved. So I think we know what other game we're going to do, but we'll address that when we get to it. I know. I was disappointed too. I get
the
it.
Cutlery battle. It was supposed to be the first game last season. It ended up becoming the last. Now it was supposed to be a good one midway through the season. It'll probably end up being the last game of the season again. And hey, maybe it'll be just like what it was last season, where it was a playoff decider.
It literally was the playoff decider. It was crazy. We'll see. There's definitely some open dates down the line. We'll see what it goes down. But if we can cover it, you bet you we're going to do it. It's one of our favorite games to cover every single season, and hopefully it shall fare as good as the rest. So, again, thank you all for coming out here for this game. There's a lot more action going on throughout the rest of this week, and of course, the rest of the week's going on with the rest of Faceit League Season 8 and everything to come beyond that. So everyone, have yourselves a fantastic night. We'll see you next time for some more Faceit League action. See y'all.